Today I want to talk to you about what has the sugar diet taught me. Now, before I begin sharing with you what the sugar diet has taught me, there's going to be some context to this video. So I want you to keep that in mind as I do this video, that this is all in context. This is going to be based on my current view today, what my view was, 5-7 years ago, and how I've evolved over the course of 7 to 10 years. So just keep that in mind as I share with you what the sugar diet has taught me. So before we actually begin, I want to just kind of express the reason why I created this video is because I saw a comment and I thought, you know what, that would be a great title to this video, because there is somebody in the comments, and if they're watching this, they know who they are, who gave me the idea to even do this video, because the sugar diet taught them something. And as I started thinking about it, I was like, that person is right. It's kind of taught me the same thing. Okay, so let me just explain and give you a little bit of a backstory of how I've evolved over the past, I would say about 7 years, because I really started my journey back in 2018. I was 243 pounds. I had always been in fitness since I was, 25 years old. I went through a horrific tragedy in my life where I lost my brother to a drug overdose. And previous to that, I was not in the fitness industry at all. I never worked out, I never ate right. But when that happened, I had a coworker actually invite me to the gym, and I fell in love with it. Okay, so that really got me on the trajectory of getting into better health, and I've never looked back. Okay, I've always been training since I was 24, or actually it was 25, and I'm 49 today. So I've been doing this for 24 years. Okay, so as I progressed, when I got to 2018, I had really let myself go. Like I said, I was 243 pounds, and I decided that year that I was going to get in the very best shape of my life. So I started toying with intermittent fasting. I started looking into the keto diet, and I thought, you know what, let's give this a shot. So I went hardcore keto, and to make a long story short, I lost 70 pounds in those 7 months doing the keto diet, intermittent fasting with strength training. Okay, that is where I started this whole journey. Through my transformation, I had other people reaching out to me, asking me, how did you do it? I was predominantly on Instagram, and this is where my Keto Shed 40 coaching program was born, okay? Now, all the people that I have trained for the past 7 years, now keep this in mind, I'm not giving you hypotheticals, I'm not guessing. I have firsthand experience. I've been doing this for 7 years, and I've trained both men and women. Yes, women too. When I started my whole Keto Shed 40 coaching program, at the beginning, I was only training women because they were just reaching out to me, wanted to lose weight. And then I started training men as well, because I'm a guy. I kind of understand a little bit better than helping women lose weight. So I started training men as well. So with that said, I've been doing this a very long time. And the message that I used to preach all the time was, don't have carbohydrates, don't have sugar, stick to protein and fats and veggies, no carbs at all. In fact, I was afraid of carbohydrates because I started doing all this research and how it spikes blood sugar and insulin, which it does. But I was in this mindset of, you can't have carbs, you can't have sugar, stick to high protein, actually high fat, sorry about that. Keto is high fat, moderate protein, and very low carbs, which really comes from the vegetables. Okay, so I have helped over the course of 7 years, hundreds and hundreds, I have lost count how many women and how many men I have helped lose at least 40 pounds in a 16-week period. So basically averaging 10 pounds a month. And I did this because I told them to do the keto diet with intermittent fasting and strength training, which is all a part of my coaching program. And if you want more information on my coaching program, I'll just go ahead and drop a link in the description of this video. It'll take you to another video and kind of explain a little bit more about what I do and how I could potentially help you. Anyway, so I did this for probably, So I started in 2018, we're now in 2025. So I kept that weight off in 2018 for a good 2 years, and then 2020 happened. Everybody knows what happened in 2020. A lot of people fell off their diets, including myself. You know, the gyms closed. I started getting sloppy. I started getting lazy, and I almost pretty much put all that weight back on. I think I got to 233, not quite 243, but I put on about 60 more pounds. Okay, I really got sloppy with my diet. Now, I could not get out of that for 4 years. I was stuck for 4 years, overweight. I was still training in the gym. My diet was trash. So for 4 long years, I was stuck until this year in 2025. I decided I'm gonna draw a line in the sand. Enough is enough. I'm gonna get back into my best shape. And this is where I explored the carnivore diet. Now with carnivore, it's even more restrictive than the keto diet. You can only eat basically meat, eggs, and seafood, and that's it. You can't have vegetables, no carbs, obviously. So this year I lost 40 pounds in just 10 weeks, all right? And then I stalled, started seeing this whole sugar diet thing. I thought, why not try the sugar diet? And I lost 7 pounds in 7 days. So I lost a pound a day doing the sugar diet, all right? Now let's get into, okay, so what exactly did the sugar diet teach me? All right, so I've done keto, done carnivore, done all that stuff, never ate carbohydrates. So how can a keto guy just all of a sudden start eating a bunch of sugar and carbs? Well, I wanted to test it. I'm a little open-minded, so I thought, why not just try it? So I tried it, and like I said, I lost 7 pounds in 7 days. So that begs the question, okay, so what did this sugar diet actually teach me? So here's what it taught me. It taught me to not be afraid of carbohydrates. And really all the sugar diet is, if you've been watching Cole Robinson, he basically said that the sugar diet is nothing more than a low-fat diet. It was basically the same thing they did back in the 90s, where everything they ate was low-fat and lean protein. And the reason why he gave that name the sugar diet is because it's more sexy. If you put low-fat diet in the title, people don't even want to watch it. So it's to get clicks and to get views. So he created this whole sugar diet to get people to watch his videos. Now he's transitioning and putting low-fat diet in his titles. Okay, so that's basically why he did that. Now going back to what I've learned is don't be afraid of carbohydrates. And carbohydrates are included in a low-fat diet. Okay, you can have lean proteins, you can have carbohydrates and those kind of things. So why am I now, or why is my view different now than it was back then? Now here's where the context matters. If you're someone who needs to lose 30 pounds, 40 pounds, 50, 60, I would recommend that you do not have carbohydrates. You're gonna wanna eliminate the carbohydrates. In fact, if you look at all these diets, you have to eliminate something. Low-fat diet, you're eliminating the fat. Keto diet, you're eliminating the carbs. Carnivore diet, you're eliminating the carbs and the vegetables, okay? So all these diets, you're gonna have to get rid of a macronutrient. It is what it is, okay? Unless you're doing a flexible dieting where you can pretty much eat all the macros, and that works too, all right? So going back to what I've learned is, now here's where the context comes into play. If I had 50 to 60 pounds to lose, what would I personally do? I would still take the carbs out of my diet because I would want to get to my weight loss goal as fast as possible, okay? So if you're someone who needs to lose 30, 40, 50, 60 plus pounds, I would tell you to do the very same thing, and I would have you do my Keto Shed 40 program, because when you eliminate carbohydrates out of your diet, you will lose weight faster. Can you lose weight with carbs? Absolutely. But you're not gonna lose it as fast as you would if you took carbs out. I know this because even these guys who step on stage, like these bodybuilders, they have to deplete themselves of carbohydrates. And then what they do like 2-3 days before the show, they carb load to fill out their muscles, okay? They all do this, they deplete themselves of carbohydrates, and then they carb load to look nice and full and vascular, all right? So again, if I had to do it all over again, I still would do keto. I still would do carnivore. I would take the carbs completely out. Now, what's changed my mind now is I'm not afraid of carbohydrates, but there's a reason for that. I've pretty much reached my goal. So does it really make sense that once you're getting closer to your goal, or maybe you've achieved the goal, to still not have carbohydrates? That makes no sense. Now I use carbohydrates to fuel my workouts, and I do feel much better when I have some form of carbohydrate before my workouts, and even having it afterwards, because you want to keep the insulin low, and carbohydrates will do that. Kind of blunts the insulin, not the insulin, the cortisol. Sorry about that. Guess there's some dogs fighting back there. I lost my train of thought. Cortisol. Okay, so when you have carbohydrates, it's going to lower the cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone that'll make you hold on to fat. And anytime you do like fasting and keto, you kind of elevate that cortisol. And this is why a lot of people plateau on keto as well, is that they are blunting the cortisol, or no, their cortisol levels are very high. Okay. Now going back to the low fat diet, let's talk about that a little bit. This is a strategy that I use in my Keto Shed 40 program as well. Like if I see people plateau, I have them do one or two things. We just talked about how carbs will lower cortisol. I actually tell my clients, if they've stalled, to go have a cheat meal, have a refeed meal. When you do this, it's going to reset two hormones in your body, leptin and ghrelin, and it's going to lower that cortisol so you can begin burning fat again. So I'll tell them, hey, go and just have anything you want. I did this when I reached my goal back in 2018 and lost the 70 pounds. I would like cheat every single weekend. I would just refeed every weekend, and I felt fantastic, all right? So my views have changed. I was really against carbohydrates. Now, like I just said, if you've got a ton of weight to lose and you're trying to lose it quickly, take the carbs out of the diet. Now, like I said, in my Keto Shed 40 coaching program, so the first thing, like I said, okay, let's go back. The first thing I would say to my clients if they stall is have a cheat meal. The second thing I would have them do is, if you watched my video yesterday, is do a 10-day protein blast. Okay, this is a term that I've created. And basically you're just doing a low fat diet for 10 days. You're taking all the fat out of the diet. You still keep the carbs out though. That's the other trick though. You got to keep the carbohydrates out of the diet, because technically they're still doing keto, but all they're really doing is pulling back on the fat. So it is a low fat diet, but you can't have carbohydrates. Generally, when you're on a low fat diet, you can have carbohydrates. But in my coaching program, remember this, all I do for 10 days to get people out of a stall is no fat for 10 days. They can have lean protein like egg whites, turkey, tuna, chicken, scallop, shrimp, all like the really lean stuff. And they do that for 10 days. They will drop weight like crazy. All right. So that's kind of where my stance is on my view of the sugar diet and what it's taught me. Now, I'm not going to be eating a bunch of candy and doing all these fruit juices and all this stuff. I'm not doing that anymore. But like I said, the sugar diet has taught me to not fear carbohydrates. If I want to have carbs, I'm not going to fear it. Now, but like I said, there is context to this. I've only got 9 pounds to lose, which, by the way, I did weigh myself today. I'm exactly the same. I didn't gain or lose. I'm still 184, so I got about 9 pounds to lose before I go on my cruise at the end of July. All right, so I'm 184. I want to get to 175. When I lost weight back in 2018, I was 173. So we're almost getting back to what I did 7 years ago. And I was absolutely ripped. I'll put a video up here to show you how ripped I was at 173. If you want to get an idea, and people ask me all the time how tall I am. I'm 6'1", and I got to 173. So if you want to get an idea of what you could look like, now you're going to have to build some muscle too. So there is a little bit of context with that too. You can't just drop a bunch of weight and expect to look like me, because if you just drop a bunch of weight and you're not building muscle, you're probably going to look sickly. All right. So that's my stance on, or my views on the sugar diet. You know, my views back then were different than they are now, and it took the sugar diet to open up my eyes to realize that carbohydrates are not the enemy. Fats aren't even the enemy, all right? What's really the enemy is processed junk. Just stick to whole one ingredient foods, whether you have fat in your diet, not in your diet. As long as you stick to one ingredient foods, you're gonna be just fine. And I gotta say this, I never used to like to say this, but calories do matter at some point. If you're over consuming on calories, I don't care how healthy your diet is. If you're over consuming, you're gonna gain weight, all right? So I hope this video helps at least someone. And if you really like the video, make sure to like the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and always hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future episodes. Until next time, I'll see you then.